Christian McCaffrey was supposed to save the 49ers season, and they did win his first game back, but it's going to be tough for him to save. Special teams. Is special teams so special that it's going to sink the Niners season? We'll discuss that and more next on Cohn and Hensley. Good morning. Welcome to Cohn and Hensley. I'm Grant Cohn. That's Ryan G. Hensley. He's in California. I'm still in Florida, which is why we're streaming so early. I have to check out of my Airbnb in a couple of hours. So thank you for waking up. I don't know that anyone really slept last night. It was such an exciting win. Wow. The way they went. But before we get into that game, we have to get into some really exciting news. The Niners signed someone to their practice squad, Nick McCloud. We know the Niners have some special teams issues. If they can just patch that up, they might win the Super Bowl. Here, in comes Nick McCloud. What do we know about Nick?
It's got a great name, Nick McCloud. You got to love that.
Yeah.
Nick McCloud refused to take a pay cut with the Giants. I don't know why they wanted him to take a pay cut. Obviously, maybe because they're like 0-9 or whatever they are, 2-7. I don't know. And they were trying to cut bait, but he refused to take a pay cut. Good for him. But they cut him, and the 49ers picked him up. He's a good corner, decent corner. Really what I think they picked him up for, though, more than anything, is that he's a really good special teams player. So that's a plus for the 49ers, who really could use some help on special teams.
Yeah. And it's an admission that special teams is like a huge issue, although they don't need to acknowledge it. I mean, the Niners special teams unit could be the worst unit in the league. It's worse than any offense, worse than any defense. It's costing the 49ers points every game. Mm-hmm. It's like an incredible hurdle they have to climb every week to win. But Nick McCloud's here.
Well, you know what's interesting about Nick McCloud, right? So he was drafted the same year Diamondor Lenore. Let me read off some PFF career defensive grade numbers real quick. 2021, this is Demo. 2021, Demo 57.1. 2022, 61, 2023, 75.8, and this year he's 67.6. Nick McCloud, first year with the Bengals, 68.6, New York, 65.6, New York, 74.8, and then this year, 50. So he struggled this year for whatever reason. You could attribute to that the entire defense for the New York Giants, maybe. So they might have found a little diamond in the rough here. He's really not bad, 6'1", 190 pounds from Notre Dame. It might be actually a really good pickup, especially on special teams. And then also, like, I don't know if the 49ers know what's necessarily going on with Charvarius Ward, how much time he's going to need to come back and play, but he could also help in that regard.
Yeah, that could be another indicator. We don't really know what his timeline is. I don't know if they know what his timeline is. So maybe bringing in another corner gives them some flexibility, or gives Charvarius more time if he needs it. Mm-hmm. Also, Rock Ya-Sin played a little bit yesterday and immediately committed a penalty. So maybe they want to get a look at someone else as a backup corner. So this is an interesting move. Again, it's not like they were one player away and they got Nick McCloud. It's hard to say if the Niners are one player away because, look, special teams are an issue, but it's an issue across the board, and it's an issue that Nick McCloud can't fix because their kicker, third-round pick Jake Moody in his second year, to be fair, he's coming off a high ankle sprain, but missed 3 kicks in this game. He's had, it looks like he's had confidence issues in the past. He has a strong leg. He missed an extra point in the Super Bowl. He missed a kick in every playoff game. And then he had a complete meltdown yesterday before rallying and winning the game. Give him credit. What should the Niners do at kicker?
What should they do? To be real, man, it's kind of a cutthroat business. This is business. It's professional sports. You missed the extra point in the Super Bowl. You missed 3 consecutive field goals yesterday. You barely made the game winner. If we're being real, I know Kyle pumped up his head, said he nailed it right through the middle. He didn't. If that was 5 yards back, he misses that thing. The reality is, and no fake, I hope he's not watching because I do feel bad for these players, but what the 49ers need to do is cut bait. They need to move on and find a different kicker. He's just not reliable, and I'm not sure if he'll ever will be. Maybe he will be. maybe he'll build up his confidence on another team in the future and do his thing. But to me, you can't have a kicker that you can't trust on your team. And if the 49ers want any shot of going far in the playoffs, they need a kicker they can trust. And I just don't trust Jake Moody. So I would cut ties and move on personally. They won't. That's what I do.
I mean, he may give him no choice if he does that again. I feel like his leash is short at this point, and I think the main reason he's still on the team, if not the only reason he's still on the team, it's not how strong his leg is, it's where he was drafted.
Right.
He was a 3rd-round pick just last year. If he had been a 6th-round pick, he might not be on the team anymore. But what's crazy is that Cam Latu was a 3rd-round pick that year too, and he's gone. So at a certain point, you can't keep a guy on the roster and keep putting him on the field because your resume would look worse if he got cut because you drafted him. You got to do what's best for the team, or else your players are going to lose confidence in you, your ability to make decisions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, how does putting Jake Moody back out there, who does that help? Does it help the team? And if it's not helping the team, then like, I think players would be like, what are we doing here? What is the agenda here to keep him on the field?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people are talking about firing Schneider, but if you look at the game yesterday, right? Like, what is Schneider going to do? How's Schneider going to make Moody make field goals? Like that's not on him. That's on the player himself. You know, and even the Darrell Luter situation. Darrell Luter's learned in Pee Wee football to get out of the way in those situations so you don't interfere with your returner catching the ball. So yesterday, nothing was really on Schneider, in my opinion. It's the players, and starts with the kicker, man. Moody's just not reliable. You can't have that. If you really want to be a legitimate contender, which the 49ers say they want to be, you can't have a kicker that they can't make kicks at a higher clip than that.
Yeah, and it's like, again, he was hurt. He went down, and they get Anders Carlson, plays 2 games as their kicker, and he's 5 of 5. He did miss an extra point, but he was 5 of 5 on field goals. He was a 6th-round pick in 2023. I mean, he wasn't taking that much after Jake Moody. He's got some pedigree too. Who cares?
Well,
like, you had Trey Lance, it didn't work out. You went with Brock Purdy. Like, you have to play the best player. And if that's Anders Carlson, then get him back on the team.
And that's the thing. People are like, oh, he's coming off an injury. You got to give him a break. Well, these Carlson came off the couch, right? Like, these guys have been sitting there for 2 years not kicking, and they were able to come through and convert these kicks. So, I mean, unfortunately, it's, you know, I don't think any of us were really happy about taking a kicker in the 3rd round. I don't think that's really ever a good idea unless you're just an absolute freak, like a Janikowski type player. It doesn't really make sense. You can get these guys undrafted. You can get them off the couch. I think it was a mistake back then, and I think they just need to move on, honestly.
I actually feel like Moody has a lot in common with Janikowski. Like, strong leg, inaccurate. And it's like, I don't care if you could kick a 63-foot yard field goal. You're going to miss a 44 one wide left and then wide right in the same game. Sorry. So, Jake, it's a tough business. I think if he misses another field goal, if he misses one next week, I think he's out. And I don't see how they can go into the playoffs with him as their kicker and feel confident that he's not going to blow it. Sorry. How do you go? I mean, he has to prove something right now or else he's gone.
I mean, the title of the show, we're going to get into it. Are the 49ers legit contenders?
Not with Moody.
We'll find out if they believe they are, because if they believe they are, they can't move forward with Moody. Yeah,
I don't see how they can. Yeah, he's got to show. He's got to make a lot of kicks in a row. All right. Yep. So they win a game. It's overshadowed by a fight on the sideline. This is the defining, memorable moment from this game. Jake Moody misses his 3rd consecutive field goal. He's 0 for 3. There is a lot of time left in the 4th quarter. I didn't see the beginning or the end. All I saw was what the cameras picked up. Deebo Samuel saying something to Moody. Tabor Pepper saying something to Deebo Samuel putting his hands around Tabor Pepper's throat. What do you think this fight indicates about the emotional state, or whatever you want to say, about this team, the 2024 49ers? What is this indicative of? What is this a microcosm? Or what does this say? What was significant about this fight?
the only part that's significant to me, I'll be real, well, my opinion may differ from a lot of people, but the only significant part for me was when you put your hands on them. Don't do that. I will say Jerry Rice came out a couple weeks ago and was like, if we played the way that this team was playing, we would have been fighting on the sidelines. And I liked it when Jerry Rice said that, because it's calling each other out, holding each other accountable. I don't know if Deebo Samuel yelling at Jake Moody or calling him out would have helped him in any way. And I would like to see them do that with every player on the team, not just the weakest link and Jake Moody. But if you played competitive sports, growing up, you know that this type of stuff happens. Now, you can't put your hands on a teammate, but, they're like brothers. They get into it. And so it could mean nothing. They could move on and be fine. I understand why Tabor Pepper defended his guy. So I understand why Deebo was pissed. I understand why Tabor Pepper defended his guy. The one thing is just don't put your hands on him, Deebo. You can't do that, bro. Like that's not it, brother. But I almost appreciate.
What if Tabor Pepper went up to Deebo on the sideline after Deebo dropped a pass and put his hands around his neck? Would Tabor Pepper be on the team today?
Nah, he's a long snapper. Yeah,
he'd be out.
Yeah,
he'd be gone.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I don't like about this is like, dude, you're punching down on the player on the team who has the least standing. Like Tabor really can't even punch back. Imagine if he punched Deebo Samuel in the face and Deebo got hurt. Like Tabor, you're gone. So it's so easy to go over to the kicker and the long snapper and big bro them and flex on them and say like, you guys are the reason we're losing this game. And it's like, not to just take sides, because I do understand where Deebo's coming from. I think we're asking it, not just Deebo, players in the team are like, why is Jake Moody on this team? It's a fair question. Why is Jake Moody on this team? But to me, the anger is misplaced. It's not about Jake. The reason Jake is on the team is Kyle. It's not about Tabor and Jake. If you're upset that Jake's on the team, which is completely legit, this is professional sports, and this guy's struggling. Dude, go yell at Kyle.
Yeah.
Go yell at Kyle in front of everyone, man. Like, Travis Kelce in the Super Bowl got upset and went straight to the source of the issue, Andy Reid, and yelled at him in front of everyone. Didn't put his hand on his throat, but, like, made a whole thing about it, which was, in my opinion, commendable. Like, that takes actual courage. Go up to the head coach. Go to the long snapper? Nah. You're upset with Kyle, Deebo. That's your guy. Say something to him. I see you talking to him at practice every single day. Have a real conversation with Kyle. Kyle, why is this kicker on the team? How many more games are we going to lose because of Jake Moody? How many more kicks is he going to miss before you get another guy? That's what I want to see from Deebo, man. That would take courage. I've never seen anyone confront Kyle yet. In 8 years, not one time. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, because the thing about with a kicker is like, it's not like he can try harder, right? He's just missing for whatever reason. He's off. So yelling at him isn't necessarily going to – it's not like he's not trying to make the kick is my point, right?
It's not that he's not locked in. It's that he's lacking confidence with every kick he misses.
Yeah. So, yeah, and Kyle is responsible. That's why I said with the special teams, like, I don't care if you guys fire Snyder. Go ahead, fire him. Like, but really, what is that going to change as long as Moody's still your kicker? It's about the players needing to step up. It's not like Deebo – like, did Deebo go up to Devondre Campbell during the season and check him for being awful? No. He goes up to the kicker. So I get it, though. Like, I understand it's frustrating when you're leaving 9 points off the board and you should have won this game, and it's coming down to every game's a must win. So I understand where Deebo's coming from. He can't put his hands on people. I also understand where Tabor Pepper's coming from defending his guy. So I get the whole thing. It may be a lot of nothing, honestly.
It may be. I think it's indicative of the Super Bowl hangover. This team, what's different about year 8 Shanahan, the 2024 49ers from all the other Niners under Shanahan? Well, this team has lost 2 Super Bowls now.
Yeah.
Now they've lost with Jimmy and with Brock. When Brock took over, there was this galvanizing effect, this confidence, this belief that they were the best team in the league. The best team in the league, and they were going to prove it, and they haven't. It hadn't been proven wrong, and then they went to the Super Bowl and lost in the same way. And I feel like this team has just become jaded in the sense that, like, they don't have the same belief that they're going to win the Super Bowl, because of Jake Moody or Kyle Shanahan, or you name the reason why they're not. It just doesn't feel like it's destined for them. And now you have a team that's, instead of like defined by how they rally around each other and play for each other, defined by drama, holdouts, money issues, political stances, fights. It just doesn't, it seems like a jaded team that's pointing the finger before they even lose.
Yeah, I mean, the message starts to wear out after a while with coaches. I mean, Harbaugh, with Jim Harbaugh, it happens quicker. I don't know.
Quickler?
It's early. I woke up
Quickly.
20 minutes ago. I apologize. It happens quicker. Yes.
I was like, Ryan, wake up. Ryan, wake up. Let's do it. Let's do it. He's like, okay.
But you know, that does happen, especially there's a lot of veterans on this team that have been playing for Kyle Shanahan for a long time. So, and here's the other thing in regards to kicking. How about we kick less field goals and score touchdowns? Because the red zone being one of the worst in the NFL, the 49ers red zone efficiency being one of the worst in the NFL, it plays a big part in this too.
I like that point. Like Debo, offense. Instead of walking over to Tabor Pepper and Jake Moody and getting mad at them, yeah, sure, I mean, Jake's doing a bad job, but like, how about score touchdowns?
That fixes
Simple
it.
solution.
Yeah.
It's not about Jake making more field goals. Like that's a losing strategy anyway. You're not gonna win a Super Bowl with Jake kicking 3-4 field goals a game. That's not it. Score touchdowns.
Right.
Debo, how many touchdowns did Debo score yesterday? None. So who the hell are you to talk? Who scored more points yesterday? Jake Moody or Debo?
Moody.
Yeah. So who are you? Who are you, man? Is that fair to say? Like, you were great 4 years ago.
Yeah, I think like I like that. Here's what I like about Debo.
Ricky Pearsall had a better game than Debo.
Here's what I like about Debo yesterday. I like that it matters to Debo Samuel. I like that he was pissed off that they were in danger of losing. I do like that part, but you can't just put it on Jake Moody. Don't take your frustrations just out on Jake Moody. Take it out on everybody who's falling short. Take it out on Kyle Juszczyk, who can't move a single body in the blocking game. I don't know if you guys are watching this in the run game, but Kyle Juszczyk is not moving anyone. Blame it on him. Blame it on Devondre Campbell throughout the season. Blame it on Nick Bosa, who holds Baker Mayfield's hand and walks with him to the sideline. Blame it on everybody. Blame it on yourself. So, like, it's not just
escorted him across the street.
Like, what was that?
Blame it on the goose. Got you feeling loose.
Right.
Blame it on Patron. Got you in the zone. I'm with you on that, man. To me, again, like, you're looking at a team that's going to win a Super Bowl. Like, football teams, they're 53 players. It's hard to get guys really, really rallying around each other. And this team, maybe they will at some point this season, but the return of Christian McCaffrey didn't fix all their problems. What a shock. And now I want to ask you, I feel like this game was such a Rorschach test. They go to Tampa. They go across the country. They beat Tampa. They give the game away. They come back. Win by 3. Special teams meltdowns. They find a way to win. Do you come away from this game being like, all right, this team's improving. This team is a legit Super Bowl contender. If they can win like this, watch out. Or are you thinking, nah, man, there's something wrong with this team. Not a legit contender.
I mean, I haven't thought they were a contender all year. I haven't thought that way. The Chiefs, I'll say this. The Chiefs went into overtime with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the same team just 6 days ago. So that part, if you consider that, kind of encouraging in that regard. But in general, no, I haven't felt like that with this team this year. We'll see. As far as Christian McCaffrey's first game back, he only averaged 3 yards per carry. But again, it's his first game back, so that could change as the season goes on, and I would hope it does. I don't know. If there's a few players that seem kind of washed, and I'm not just saying this because of your situation, but I was watching Kyle Juszczyk yesterday, and I keep reiterating this because if go back and watch the film, I'm asking all you guys to go back and watch the film. He was getting tackled more than the player with the ball. Like, he was not moving anyone. There's no point of him being out there. If you're not going to move bodies, anybody can be in the way for that much money. Like, it seems like he's washed as a blocker. He still has hands, but as a blocker, he's ineffective out there, and that's part of the reason why I think Christian was struggling yesterday. We'll see what's up with Christian, but Christian's got to be Christian from last year for these guys to be legitimate contenders, and we'll see. He did great in the passing game, and I'm sure he'll work it out in the run game as things go on, but you got to block for him if you want that, or remove him from the game, put somebody else in there that can block for him. But that was a big problem yesterday. I don't know if people go back and watch. There was no movement at all from the fullback.
Yeah. So the fullback isn't what it used to be. Special teams are just the worst. And it's like, it's hard to say, well, they could get, if they just get rid of Moody and bring in Carlson, they're good. Like, Jacob Cowing muffed a punt. I mean, kickoff coverage, punt coverage, everything is an issue. So it's hard to say a team is like a legit Super Bowl contender when 1/3 of their team is abysmal. Not bad. The worst. That's a tough one.
You can't be a legitimate Super Bowl contender when your special teams is dead last, because special teams is important.
It is.
You can't be dead last and be a legitimate Super Bowl contender, and you can't be what they were 28th going into the game yesterday in the red zone. Did that improve? I don't think so. I think it probably went down or stayed the same. You can't be a legitimate Super Bowl contender if you're dead last in the red zone. Now, they have time to fix both of those things. Special teams reminds me, as a basketball coach, it reminds me outside of kicker, because, kicker's a kicker, but outside of kicker and return man, it's really just about discipline and effort. And that could be fixed if they find a way to divulge, like pull that out of themselves. But that's really, to me, it's more of a head coach thing, right? Like the players that are on special teams, they're put there by the head coach, and the discipline has to come from the head coach. They shot themselves in the foot a lot of times yesterday with penalties, made it closer than it probably needed to be. Tampa Bay Buccaneers bailed out the 49ers a couple times with penalties, extended the offense at least 3 times. They extended drives that would have probably ended had the Buccaneers not committed penalties. So they were bailed out a little bit, but the 49ers just lack discipline. And that's one of the big things that they're missing if they want to be legitimate contenders this year. And I don't see it, but there's time for them to put it together.
Okay, let's keep going. I mean, Brock Purdy played so well in this game. And at least in this game, he played like a quarterback who definitely could win a Super Bowl. So if you have a quarterback playing like that would make you confident that you're a Super Bowl contender. But I think the other thing that was kind of interesting was like McCaffrey. He returns, they give him the full workload. He had the nice catch up the sideline. He had some useful check down catches, but like ultimately he was not the offensive player of the year. Like maybe I missed it, but I don't think he broke a tackle. And like when he was really cooking with the Niners, he was like a scat back. Like he built like Reggie Bush, but he doesn't run like Reggie Bush. Like when he was at his peak with the Niners, he would break tackles. He would run hard. Then he fumbled in the Super Bowl. I don't think he broke a tackle after that. And then I feel like in the game yesterday, he was running a lot like he did in the Super Bowl, kind of protecting himself, which you understand. But that's not the Christian McCaffrey that's going to like carry them. I mean, Brock Purdy was clearly better. He was the MVP of the offense, not McCaffrey yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, McCaffrey hasn't played football in a long time, so I'll give him that. Like, I don't know if we're seeing.
Maybe he'll round into form over time this year.
Right.
Maybe not.
Right. But yeah, I mean, Brock was interesting, man. First half, he looked like, who is this guy? Like, we can't. This isn't honestly like
missing high, missing like four times.
Brock Purdy in the first half did not look like a franchise quarterback. In the second half,
it was a lot like the first half against Dallas. 10 points, a lot of missed passes.
And then the third quarter came out. But in the second half of that game, that was a phenomenal game from Brock Purdy. Mm-hmm. So that consistency, I don't know. I don't know where he's going to get it from. I don't know why he was off. I don't know the bye week. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of excuses, reasons why he was off in that first half so bad. But in that second half, that was phenomenal. 2 comeback drives in the fourth quarter. If he could play like he did in the second half of the Cowboys game and in the second half of this game consistently, then by all means, he looks like a franchise quarterback, looks great. I was impressed with what I saw from Brock Purdy in the second half, particularly in the fourth quarter. 2 comeback game-winning drives, which he doesn't have a ton on his resume, but he did it yesterday. And I think that was important. Also, though, real quick, if you look at his passing chart, everything was under 20 yards, which is actually good to see. If that's all I ever saw from Brock Purdy, I'd be concerned, like, man, this guy can't go deep. But yesterday, it was all under 20 yards. He kept things short, took the dump off to Christian McCaffrey, and that is extremely helpful for Brock Purdy. It's underestimated how helpful that was in yesterday's game. Being able to just, if nothing's there, dump it off to Christian McCaffrey and let him go to work. So I think that's encouraging also for the season.
Yeah. Last thing I would say is that, like, why I came away from this game feeling sort of pessimistic about the Niners despite them winning. Like, yeah, they found a way to win on the road, but they were facing a team that had no receivers. Yeah. And it's not like the Niners found a new standard that they could, or a new gear that they could kick it into. Like, they survived against a team that's lost 4 of 5 or 5 of 6. And all the issues the Niners had before the bye week popped up again, which is disconcerting. It's like you had a week off to, like, do the autopsy and really self-scout and be honest with yourself. And these are our problems. And now I'm going to spend all week thinking about how to fix them. And it's like, what was the solution? Like, oh, Christian's coming back. We don't have problems. We'll be good. It's like, no, you have problems. And Christian can't fix them. Even if he were the Christian from last year, he couldn't fix them all. He's not the Christian from last year. That's what's so disconcerting. Like, you had a bye week to fix it. And this is a team that seems still the same team they were week 3.
We're a big problem that's not being talked about. A big problem that last year in the playoffs, and a big problem yesterday that, for whatever reason, I don't know if opposing teams that play the 49ers would just pay a little bit more attention to what's going on with this team. I think a lot more teams could beat the 49ers. Yesterday, Bucky Irving, 13 carries, 73 yards, 5.6 per carry, and a touchdown. I don't know why the Buccaneers didn't just keep running with this dude, because the 49ers could not stop him. It was a problem that they had in the Super Bowl. They played one other really good rushing team this year, which is the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals put up 160-plus yards on them. Then they played the 10th best rushing team yesterday in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who put up 110 total yards on them, and Bucky Irving was 5.6 yards per carry. They can't stop the run. Can
you imagine if they played the Ravens in the Super Bowl? Like, if they made it to the Super Bowl and had to face Baltimore, maybe they beat them. Maybe. But
this is a big problem, because as the season goes on, they're facing more and more of these teams that can run the ball. 49ers got to figure that out. I think one of the things I'd like to see is more Evan Anderson. When he's in, he does really good, but they don't play him enough. So 49ers got to figure out how to stop the run, how to score in the red zone, how to make freaking field goals, and how to play special teams, which those are some major things.
How to use their words on the sideline.
How to use your words on the sideline. So those are some things they need to work on. Yeah.
This guy says, stop the beach it, Grant. Even though I watch you for it. Regardless, Niners know. Even if playoffs, Kyle gonna Kyle, legitimate contender, don't hold breath, says this guy. Whew. Joey Lappin says, this team reminds me of 2010 Chargers. I don't remember the 2010 Chargers.
I do not. Who's that? Who are we talking about? Who's on 2010 Chargers?
I mean,
what's the quarterback? I can't think of his name.
Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers. Yeah. I don't know.
Was it LaDainian Tomlinson, or was he gone that year? I don't know.
You have to clarify. You have to clarify.
Sorry,
for
Joey. Fish and Chip says Kyle Shanahan and players are missing full drives. Call it out.
Full drives. Call it out. Fish and Chips. Okay. You just did call it out.
Sean Shepard. I love how Grant drags us through his travel schedule. What the hell are D gives it up at the end every game? Pearsall looks good. Be blessed. 7 a.m. Sorry, it's 10:30 over here in Tampa. Shady Luke, I think your guys' team is a Super Bowl contender, but your guys' defense has always been a strong point. This year, if they don't get better, I don't know.
Isn't it weird how the 49ers defense went from having a great defensive front, stopping the run, not the best corners, to great defensive back in coverage, and the defensive front can't get a sack, can't stop the run. It's like ass backwards right now.
It is. We're going to talk about the defense in a minute. Sean Shepard says, at this guy, not blind to many things to list, but the D. Warner made boneheaded plays at the end as usual. Sorry if you ride Warner's lap. Guess what? That's what I'm blind to. Keep riding, guy. Joseph Ernberg, Grant, buy a Mustang, 6 plays combined, Garendo, JP. We're going to talk about that too. Kyle lost the locker room. All I know is if there was a fight between a wide receiver and a long snapper on Mike Tomlin's sideline, he would have handled that himself in the moment. Same with both Harbaughs. It's like, Kyle, take your face out of the play sheet and be a leader for 1 minute, man. Come on. You got to have something, some emotional component that you can contribute to this team. Gotta be.
Yeah. I mean, if he didn't see it, he didn't see it. But yeah,
hey man, you were a coach. If there was a fight on your bench, be like, hey man, I didn't see it. I don't know. They just told me about it.
Yeah, no,
that's your team. That's your bench. What are you talking about?
I would definitely see it. I would definitely see it. And to the guy that said buy a Mustang, no, buy a Camaro. But go ahead.
Why?
Chevy. I'm a Chevy guy. I'm a Chevy man.
Chevy
man.
I'm
a Chevy man. Yeah.
I like it. Dustin the Gale says, I think Matthew Wright was more reliable than Anders, but no one's talking about him. I think Matthew Wright's still hurt. A separated shoulder.
Yeah. Tackling.
All right. It's time for the sleeper picks. It's time for some sleeper
perfect picks. Time because I'm like still halfway asleep. So it's great.
Yeah. That's why they call sleeper picks, for when you do them at 7 in the morning.
Right.
Let's see if I got any picks right yesterday. No. Oh, I'm not allowed to make picks because I'm in Florida. But we can just like go through the motions.
Wow.
I know. Hating on me. So today, Miami Rams.
Yes. Miami Rams. And if the Rams win, the 49ers are back to 3rd place, guys. You got to cheer on Miami today.
That's right. Stafford. Passing yards, passing touchdowns, completions, interceptions.
Above on everything.
I'm going with the interception. It's Stafford. He's consistent with that.
Puka
Nacua, 68.5 receiving yards. Got thrown out of the last game.
I don't know, man. They actually do have good corners over there in Miami. So I don't know. I would say under for Puka.
Cooper, 66.5.
I don't know, man. Part of me says go under. I feel like the Rams are going to beat the hell out of the Dolphins and won't be passing as much as they typically do. That's
okay. Kyron Williams in rushing yards.
I'll say over on it.
83.5. Okay.
Yeah.
See, he's following a game script. I think that's a smart way to make wagers. Tyreek Hill, Tua. 249.5 passing yards.
I gotta go. Well, the Rams defense isn't very good. They're going to be passing to save their lives. I'm going to say over.
Why is that one comment there? Why is that there?
The what?
You see that one comment here? Like, how is that there? That's just so mean.
I don't see it. Oh,
no, I'm not going to say it. It's just like, what?
Sorry, Joey.
Like,
that's crazy.
That there? Did they put that there? I don't know. That seems mean. Okay. Devon H. Tyreek Hill, receiving yards, 79.5.
I'm going to say over. I think Dolphins got to pass to stay in this game. They're going to have to pass to catch up. I think.
Well, they won't let me do yards. So what about touchdowns? Will he get one?
Yep.
Yes,
sir.
Okay, I'm gonna stick there because they won't even let me. What do they say when I try to submit my entry? Oh, why did they hate on me last night?
I don't know.
But those are my picks. I'm glad I'm entered. Florida, I just like you a whole lot better now. And if you want to enter, download Sleeper app, use promo code Cohn, get entered to win a signed Ricky Pearsall jersey. It might be the only one in the whole world.
Can I check Fish and Chips here? He said I have a Scarlet Chevy truck. First of all, I drive a Benz. My first car was a Chevy Camaro. I bought it myself with Burger King money. Learn your facts, Fish and Chips.
Doesn't Mac Dre have a song called Chevy Man?
That's what I was singing. That's what I was singing.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Little Bruce. I think him and Little Bruce was the Ford man. I think it was Little Bruce. Little Bruce was Ford man. He was Chevy man. They're going back and forth. If I'm not mistaken.
That's true. Okay. So Brock Purdy had a really good game. He made some really tough plays, man. Last year, I feel like the discourse with Brock was like, yeah, his numbers are incredible, but like when you watch him, guys are open, he has time. It doesn't look like the most difficult thing in the world. This year, it's like, okay, his numbers aren't through the roof, but if you watch him, man, like he's getting blasted. He's throwing passes with anticipation. He's hitting like dots in the back left corner of the end zone. It's difficult. What have you noticed about the way the Niners are using Brock this year?
So here's the thing. In regards to Brock, here's what I'm seeing from the passing game. Not necessarily Brock, but this is obviously affecting Brock. Having Christian McCaffrey back is huge on these choice routes because he can dump off underneath. He needs that. Jordan Mason was available a few times, and he just passed it up. I don't know why. He's not going to pass up CMC, so this is good. But I don't know where it's coming from, whether it's Brock wanting to be, a deep ball dude or it's Kyle. But I did notice on a couple plays, very little options underneath. Kurt Warner tweeted out last night as well. There's not enough options for these quarterbacks short when they're being blitzed, right? And you saw the first sack. I think it was the second drive. I want to say second down, if I'm correct, where Brock Purdy was sacked. All I saw was two deep routes, deep post, and something else they were running there. And there was nothing underneath. George Kittle popped out very late after blocking, but there was really nothing underneath for Brock Purdy. So what I'm seeing is Kyle Shanahan wants to have this explosive deep ball passing game this year for some reason, and it really hasn't translated. I would like to see more options for Brock Purdy. I'd like to see, maybe one dude's going deep. You got some guys intermediate, and you got somebody underneath. It doesn't seem to be a lot of options for Brock. It's these big, they're trying to hit these big, deep plays, and there's not many guys left underneath for him. So I think a lot of that's on Kyle. And I feel like that's something that they should fix right away. And having Christian McCaffrey back should help a little bit with that.
I feel like there's a few ways that that Kyle did make life easy on Brock in the past, and that you could continue to do that now. One way, it's not just play action. It's the play action pocket movement, rolling left, rolling right. I mean, the first couple of years, Brock Purdy rolling left was devastating. Like the way that he could flip his body and make those throws against his body momentum was pretty rare. And I feel like it's suited him so well for a couple of reasons. One, he's quick. Two, he throws well on the run. But three, he's short. Even Kittle said it yesterday. He's like, the only thing that's a bit of a weakness, I don't know if he used that exact term, but for Brock is that he's short. And in the pocket, he can't necessarily lock eyes with every receiver during a screen. Like when things go off schedule, sometimes Kittle's trying to get his attention and they can't see each other. And when they do see each other, magic happens on that touchdown. So to me, the more you can get Brock out of the pocket, the better. And we've seen that for years. And this year, it's a lot of under center, straight drop, no play action, 7 steps. It's wow, that's tough. That's tough football, man. And even for Tom Brady or Peyton Manning, those are guys that lived in the shotgun, would take the ball, take a 3-step drop and get the ball out of their hands. 7-step drop from under center. That's 1985 football. You're gonna get hit a lot. You're gonna have to make a lot of difficult throws. And so the question is, why?
I don't know. I think it's an ego thing. A lot of people have been talking about Kyle Shanahan's drop back passing game being bad. I've been talking about this all year. Multiple coaches, former NFL players, and I think he's trying to prove them wrong. That's my only guess. Listen to what Kurt Warner said last night after watching football. So many sacks taken off of the hot situations each week. When can we give quarterbacks options, or will quarterbacks just start throwing it away in those situations? You just can't bail yourself out with feet versus free runners all the time. That's Kurt Warner last night.
Okay, I love that. I love that. So let's get into it. Okay, Kyle wants to beat the blitz with hot routes. That's not necessarily working. There's other things you could do. You could bring more blockers in, or that works. They rush 6, you block with 7. But Kyle doesn't want to do that. Or how about a well-timed screen pass to McCaffrey? For a guy who's the best receiving running back in the league, yeah, man, the option routes, check downs, swings, wheels. What about a screen?
Where's that?
How many did we see of that? The tunnel screen to Debo, which never works anymore. They'll do that once, twice a game, but a screen to a running back. We saw it on the Lions last night. Freaking Jared Goff is melting down, having the worst game of his life. And they win anyway because Ben Johnson is finding ways to scheme open really easy throws for a quarterback with no confidence, who's lost it all. And they still it's play action, check down a screen to David Montgomery, goes for 30 yards. Like, there's got to be more easy throws that they could scheme open for Brock Purdy, and they're not, which I don't want to get into irresponsible speculation or conspiracy theory stuff, but all I know is that this dude is up for a ridiculous contract extension next year. And it could be $65 million a year, or it could be $35 million a year. It's a big freaking difference. And if Kyle calls all the stuff that set up Brock for success, the easy stuff that set up Jimmy for success in the past, maybe in Kyle's mind, man, we're going to end up paying $65 million a year for a quarterback that I'm carrying with scheme. Let him go out there and prove that he can play quarterback under the most difficult conditions with not a lot of help. Now, maybe that's not what he's doing, because it seems like if you do that, then you're not putting your best foot forward. You're potentially costing yourself wins just to like manage Brock Purdy's price tag. I hope I'm wrong about that. I'm not even saying that's what's going on, but like this whole extension thing that's hanging over the season and his career is that, I don't know. I wonder if it's a factor when weird stuff like this happens. I wonder.
I don't think Kyle's. Here's what I think is going on with Kyle. I don't think he's an offensive genius. That's what I think is going on with Kyle. I'm being real. Like, I'm not trying to be like a jerk or contrary or anything like that. I just don't. I think the hype that's been around Kyle Shanahan from an offensive play calling standpoint, it was just that. It was a lot of hype, and I think what we're seeing now is he's a good offensive coordinator, but he's not this offensive genius. And you take away some of his guys that are around him that have helped him for years, and that kind of drops off a little bit. And I think he has a little bit of an ego. He's trying to prove people wrong that I do have this great drop back passing game. I'm not buying it, man. I don't see the creativity. By the way, you brought it when you were talking about Debo on that jet sweep. This is important, I think, with his frustration level. He was frustrated with Kyle Juszczyk after that jet sweep play because Kyle Juszczyk didn't move anybody. Debo like shoved Juice to the ground and then went back to the huddle, and you could tell they were like energized and talking to each other. And so I'm telling you, Juice isn't blocking anybody. He's not blocking anybody. It's a thing, and that's what started Debo. Part of the reason why Debo was frustrated, because he couldn't do anything on that tunnel screen, on the jet sweep. Nothing was working for him, and that kind of overblown onto Moody later on. But to get back to your topic here, Kyle's just not a good passing game coordinator. He's just not.
Yeah, that's fair. I'd hate to think that he has ulterior motives that are coming into play, motives that are financially driven, because that's a great way to underperform. Joey Mellons, could CMC stop the run? He's not really built to play on the line of scrimmage in the box. But let's talk about CMC. So McCaffrey comes back. You got Jordan Mason, who's established himself as, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I think he's one of the best running backs in the league. Statistically, he's right up there. And then Isaac Guerrero, they're talking about him like he's the second coming of Raheem Mostert. He clearly has breakaway speed, and he's had some big freaking runs at critical moments this season. Christian McCaffrey comes back off of like 3 practices and hasn't put on the pads in like a year and gets 56 of, I want to say, 62 snaps. Why does Kyle Shanahan not use a running back rotation when like the Bucs do, the Lions do, everyone does?
Well, good question. Let me throw out this one first. Maybe Jordan Mason having that shoulder injury has something to do with it. I'll throw that out there as a possible excuse.
Possible.
But here's what I know. Jordan Mason has never averaged 3 yards per carry in any game he's ever played in, even when all he was the closer to finish games. He's always done better than that. Christian McCaffrey ran 3 yards per carry yesterday. Now, Christian McCaffrey's just coming back, so I'm going to throw out that excuse could be 100% valid for Christian McCaffrey. But here's what bothers me. Jordan Mason has shown that he is a legitimate, really good running back in this league. He was trending to have the 5th most yards by any running back in 49ers history before this game yesterday. You can't just extinguish him from your offense. Jordan Mason is a better, I'm going to say it, he is a better runner between the tackles than Christian McCaffrey.
Right now?
He is.
Right now?
I said it 2 years ago, and I still believe it. He runs harder. He is designed to be a better runner between the tackles, period. Christian McCaffrey might be the better dude outside and definitely in the passing game, but they should be using the combination of both these dudes. Yep. Maybe Isaac Guerrero too. Like the Isaac Guerrero one doesn't bother me, even though he's shown that he's a breaker, right? Christian can do that too. But they need to be using Jordan Mason and Christian McCaffrey together, combined, especially between the tackles. That needs to be Jordan Mason's domain. He is better there.
Also, I feel like what played out against Tampa was so predictable. Christian in his first game back didn't have the full 3-week practice window to ramp up, like they say. He had 1 week. And yeah, you want him out there. It's a must-win game or close to it. Averages 3 yards a carry and doesn't break any tackles, but he's kind of dangerous as a receiver. So predictable. This guy is managing Achilles tendonitis. He's afraid that it's going to come back. He's afraid he's going to rupture his Achilles. Like, he's going to protect himself a little bit. And running between running at all is much more dangerous than catching passes. You catch a pass, you just got to make one guy miss. You're in the open field. So running back, you got to make like the whole defense miss. So while Christian McCaffrey is in this state where he's like trying to build confidence back in his legs and get back into football shape and understand that he can give like the same level of effort that he gave last year and not get hurt, don't give him all the carries. Yeah. You use him on third down, use him in 2-minute drills, but like on first and second down, Jordan Mason needs to be getting as many or more carries than Christian McCaffrey until further notice.
Yeah, agreed. And
if Christian gets 6, Jordan gets 7.
And Deebo Samuel shouldn't be running the ball at all. He shouldn't.
No, that's over.
That's done. He shouldn't. Deebo shouldn't be running out of the backfield. He should be hitting. He should be on slants. Get Deebo the ball quick so he can gain yak on slants, things like that. That's what Deebo should be doing. If you're going to be doing jet sweeps, pop freaking Cowing in there. Let Cowing do it, or Pearsall or somebody else. But as far as running the ball, it should be Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Mason, two-headed monster. If you want to throw Guerrero in there every now and then, fine. I do think Christian McCaffrey can, in general, do most of the things Guerrero can do. He's not quite as fast, but on the outside, Christian's elite, and he also adds that passing game element that Guerrero probably can't do yet. So I would, at least go with the Jordan Mason, Christian McCaffrey combination. Jordan Mason is a better runner between the tackles, period, point blank. I'm sorry.
And let's talk like creativity, because Kyle's lost it. He's lost. And you and I have it in spades. Plus, we're honorary quality control. So, Kyle, listen up. Here's how you're going to get Jordan Mason involved. That fullback you got, 44, put him on the bench. Then put Jordan Mason and McCaffrey on the field together. What you could do, and the Bucs did this a little bit yesterday, like Bucky Irving is clearly a better runner than Rachaad White, but Rachaad White's a hell of a receiver. Hell of a receiver. So there were times when Rachaad White would be in the slot on like a 3-by-1 formation on the 3 receiver side, and Bucky Irving would be in the backfield. So what you could do is a real simple RPO from the gun, hand off to Irving, or pull it and throw to White on a little bubble screen. Like, it's not even creative. People do it all the time. Why not do that? You have Jordan Mason in the backfield, McCaffrey in the slot. What's the defense going to do? They're going to go to McCaffrey. Now Jordan Mason's going to kill you. And then when they have to adjust to Jordan Mason, I mean, it just seems like, man, how do we get our best players on the field, bro? I don't know.
Right.
Sorry, that's not my impression of Kyle. That's just I don't know who I don't know who that was. But
I mean,
it doesn't seem that hard.
It seems really simple, honestly. I think he should listen to you. I think that's a tremendous idea. Something we've been saying for a while. You can have Jordan Mason, Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. Also, when they run, if you notice, like I do it with my kids all the time. Not all the time, but typically. Not all the time, but typically I can call what the play is going to be and what direction it's going to, just because I watch the 49ers every single week and I'm familiar with what they do. And typically, if Christian McCaffrey's behind Brock on the right side, he's going to be running to the left, and vice versa. It's very predictable. If you have Jordan Mason and Christian McCaffrey back there in split backs, it makes it a lot hard to predict what they're going to do. I think that's a really good idea.
I mean, I feel like you see the Lions do this too. Like, they have a great running back rotation. They have Jahmyr Gibbs this season is maybe the most explosive weapon in the league. He's what McCaffrey was last year, maybe even more explosive. Like, what a freaking weapon. And they don't overuse him. 12, 13 carries a game, a couple throws, but they use David Montgomery as well. They have them both on the field sometimes because they're both really good. So I just don't understand why Kyle can't do that too. It seems like Jordan Mason's a blessing. You didn't see it. He's proven it. Now all you got to do is get out of the way and let him play a little bit because he's going to increase your chances of winning.
Can we talk about this? We talked about what they should do, but here's the reason. Why aren't they? Here's my reason. Here's my explanation. I feel like Kyle Shanahan is a fan of Christian McCaffrey. I feel like he's a fan of Kyle Juszczyk. I think he is too much of a player groupie to certain players, and he can't put that aside for what's best for the team and the offense. And Juice being out there is not what's best for the offense. Having Jordan Mason out there with Christian McCaffrey would be better for the offense. Rotating Christian McCaffrey would be what is best for the offense. But it seems like Kyle doesn't have the heart or the will or the want to make the smart decision for the team because he's a fan of Christian McCaffrey.
There's more. Like I talked about the financial motivations that could play into some of these decisions that Kyle Shanahan's making. Like I brought it up with Brock. Everyone knows there's this incredible extension that's going to cost the Niners a lot of money. Is he trying to shave off a few shekels? I don't know. It makes you wonder all of a sudden the way he's calling plays, it's more difficult for Brock. Now, Jordan, he's going to be a restricted free agent after this year. And if he was, had 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns, odds are he's not coming back. If he has a restricted free agent, some team might give him a contract that the Niners wouldn't match. But if he's buried and he ends the season with like 700 yards and 3 touchdowns, then probably a team isn't going to give him a lot of money, plus the Niners a second-round pick to take him off their hands. So I hate to think that the Niners are like thinking past this year and like how to keep the team together, like win this year. Do what you got to do. Play your best players. Hope.
I don't buy into that conspiracy, but I will say this.
Me neither, for the record.
Yeah.
I don't buy into it. I just hope it's not the case. My mind goes there sometimes. Intrusive thoughts. Let's do
the logical breakdown. Name the players that are overused in this offense.
Christian, Debo,
Kyle Juszczyk.
44. Those guys.
Okay. Those 3 dudes.
23, 44, and 1.
What do they have in common?
They're great friends with the head coach.
There you go. That's it.
You know who's criminally underused in this offense? Forget Jordan Mason. George Kittle.
Yeah.
Like all year, whenever they throw him the ball, it's like, oh, he caught it and he broke a tackle. It's a big play. And then you don't see him again for 2 quarters. I don't understand that, man. He should be their go-to guy. No disrespect to Jawan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall, but this has been the George Kittle season. As good of a season he's ever had, and Kyle Shanahan just forgets about him, loses interest in giving him the ball. It's so strange. It's so strange.
Because a lot of times he's there run blocking for Christian and Debo and those guys. And I'm telling you right now, the smart thing, I think people that watch the 49ers, you mix in Jordan Mason's, particularly in the interior. You pull out Kyle Juszczyk because he's not blocking anybody. You focus more on George Kittle. You don't run Debo out of the backfield. Those are things that any non-biased 49ers fan watching the game can clearly. And it's not happening. I think it's because of relationships that Kyle has with these players. That's my best guess.
Let me just I know we're talking what running backs here. I'm with you on this. George Kittle, I don't know what his relationship is like with Kyle, but this year, I mean, he had 4 targets in this last game. What in the world? Like for the season, 53 targets, 43 catches, 7 touchdowns in 8 games. Like, he could be doing so much more. When he's targeted, Purdy's quarterback rating is 134. I just don't get it. I mean, I know he's a little bit older, but 4 targets in a game that was really close. Why don't you just let George Kittle win the game for you? He could do that.
I tweeted out last year, I think he would be better than Jason Kelce if he was used the same way.
Travis.
He's that good.
Man, if Travis Kelce, if the Niners traded Kittle for Kelce and Kittle was on the Chiefs, Andy Reid would have a bajillion ways to get on the ball. He wouldn't be shy about it.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
target.
He could have Kittle is the kind of player that could be breaking tight end records left and right if he was featured. Yeah.
And if he doesn't make it into the Hall of Fame, there's going to be one reason. Kyle.
Yeah, I think he does.
Chris says, could the issue with the blitz be that SF doesn't blitz so they don't run practice reps against it as much as they should? That's interesting. That's an interesting thing. I hadn't thought about that. They're also not good at stopping mobile quarterbacks or zone read stuff because they don't run that themselves.
Yeah.
Good point. Chris Tallarico says, Kyle's not a good coach, period. He may be a decent OC. He needs someone over him for personnel, play distribution, monitoring targets, etc. Head coach stuff. I can't disagree. And again, if the Niners had found a way to lose this game, that's all people be talking about. Kyle, we're mad at you. Instead, people are like, well, we're still mad at you, but we're not going to talk about it because we won. But I didn't forget, if we lose next week, official BNA Music 88 says Pepper has mind control over Debo. He'd be like, shut the F up. He'll be quiet, but when he leaves, he'll be talking again. That was funny. Fish and chips is called buddy ball, all mates and family play. Yikes. Chris Tallarico says not using Mason yesterday is baffling. He's never used CMC correctly. CMC should never run between the tackles with Mason on the team, especially when he's averaging 3 yards a carry and not breaking tackles. Like, that's not the best way to use your personnel in this game. Is clear.
Mm-hmm.
Joey says 2010 Chargers, number 1 O&D 32nd special teams and missed playoffs. What a poll.
Joey with the facts. Is that you on that skateboard right there? I love it. Respect. Look at him.
My parents wouldn't let me skateboard when I was a kid. Damn. And I always told myself when I got older and they couldn't tell me what to do, I'd get a skateboard. But then I realized I'm scared.
Yeah. I was big on BMX.
I want to break my wrist again.
I love both. BMX, skateboards. I broke my nose. A bunch of bones riding bikes. Yeah.
Chris Tallarico, why do you guys think Kyle plays like the 2017 Warriors and takes the third off every single game? Is that when his script run out? Something else?
I guess he takes the third off every single game.
I thought that's when they used to kick it into gear, the Warriors. They'd just sleepwalk through the first half of the game and then be like, okay, we're here now.
Yeah, third quarter was typically their quarter.
LVL7 says Cardinals are bigger contenders than the fraud Niners.
A lot of anger. They're playing better right now. It's still a long season. It's what, week 11? They still got, what are they, 9 games? They still got how many games left? 8 games left. Let's see if they can put it together.
Okay, last thing before we go. I wish we could end on a positive, but I feel like you come away from this win being like, it's great to get a win, but this team hasn't improved yet. And so I still think the issues of the team override the celebration. So sorry, if you want to get a celebration of this victory, I'm sure there's plenty of YouTube channels that could give that to you. We don't really do that after a win like this. You got to really earn it. So let's talk about the defense. Why can't the defense close out victories anymore? Like, they'll play well for a half, maybe 3 quarters, but you know that run defense is going to get worn down. And then, I mean, on the final drive, there was 4 penalties and 3 were consecutive drive extending, back-breaking penalties. This used to be the strength of the team, the defense. Yeah. Now it's like, it's statistically okay some of the time, but it can't close. Why is that?
Well, what we talked about earlier, if you can't stop the run, you're going to have a hard time closing out. Also, the discipline. They've committed penalties in a lot of tough situations. Also, the offense. The offense is not converting in the red zone, which puts the defense in bad position from from starting point for the opposing offense. I think all those things factor in. I think the defensive back units, the corners, they do a really good job. I don't think our coordinator is creative enough about disguising blitzes. You see all the great defense, all the best defenses in the NFL are doing that now, where they are disguising what they are doing. You have no clue what is going to happen after you snap the ball. They fake something, they do something else, or they'll show something and they'll actually do it. And then on the next play, they'll show that same thing and do something different. They're mixing it up. Our defense doesn't do that. So I believe it's a combination of all of those things, as well as the absence of Dre Greenlaw really hurts the 49ers.
Agree. I'm going to go there. Like, yeah, Nick Sorensen isn't helping. He doesn't seem to have like the magic calls to get pressure down the stretch, but is it as simple as the defense isn't that talented anymore? Like, I know it sounds blasphemous. There's a lot of young talent. When I say talented, I'm talking like legit Pro Bowl talent. On offense, they got the 2 running backs, the fullback who gets in every year even though he doesn't deserve it, the left tackle, the tight end, any number of wide receivers, the quarterback. It's loaded with talent on offense. On defense, it's Bosa, Warner.
Is it Bosa?
And maybe Lenore.
And is it Bosa? Like,
is it Bosa? Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Bosa does. I mean, really, does Bosa deserve a Pro Bowl nomination?
Like
this year?
Justin School shut him down in this game. He did.
Bosa does not deserve Pro Bowl. His numbers just don't give you a reason to put him on the Pro Bowl team this year. Maybe he'll change it around, but if we're being real, no. Fred Warner is playing lights out. There's nobody else on that defensive line whatsoever that is Pro Bowl worthy. Bosa just by name.
Linebacker.
Bosa just by name. And then you just got Fred Warner is the only real dude back there. And then I like Charvarius. I like Demo. I like Malik Mustafa. I like those dudes. So those guys, the back end is great to me.
They're solid.
Solid.
But like, is Lenore having a Pro Bowl year? I think he is. Will he? I mean, he might be the third guy. He's having a hell of a year. Got to give him credit. But like,
yeah.
So it's just not like in the past. It was Bosa playing as the best guy in the freaking league, and Warner, and Hufanga, and Greenlaw. And Travarius Ward. It was like 5 or 6 guys. Now it's like one or 2.
Brother, it's not rocket science, man. Football is a complex sport compared to other sports. It really is. And I think that's under talked about, but it's not rocket science. It's football. Look at the best 2 teams in the NFL right now, the Lions and the Chiefs. What do they have in common? Their trenches are stacked.
Yep.
They are really good in the trenches, and 49ers are not. And that's where it starts. You want to be a really good defense? You look at the 49ers defenses from the past. The ones that were really good had a really good defensive line. They don't have that this year. And that's why I constantly stress that we need to focus on that in the draft and acquiring those guys. They just don't have that. That's where it starts.
It was funny, last year, everyone got on Chase Young for not having enough effort. And what is this guy doing? Loafing on the field. He's setting a bad tone. Like, man, it's Bosa who's setting the tone. It's Bosa coming close, not playing run defense. I mean, missing tackles. Like, Bosa is setting a very negative tone for this defense, in my opinion. The guy who's actually upholding a standard is Lenore and Warner. Bosa's out there doing, I don't even know.
Hey, make Bosa great again.
That was so funny, dude.
You know what I mean?
God, that was such a funny tweet.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Make Bosa great again.
He had his 1 sack and immediately did the Trump dance. It's like, dude, whose team are you on? Are you on the Niners or are you in the cabinet? Like, what is going on?
They should put him in the cabinet. They should put him in the cabinet.
They should, right? He should be like Secretary of Communications, like someone like he gets the message out for the president, like, hey, it's an important time. Thank you, Nick. Yeah. Nick, here's Nick with 8 words in 1 minute. Well, guys. Sorry, that's enough.
The press secretary, Nick Bosa, press secretary.
Nick.
That'd be excellent. Yeah.
Oh
my god,
that would be funny as hell.
It's too early.
All right, it's time for me to fly home. Here's what I got today because people care. I'm flying from Tampa to Fort Lauderdale. That's going to be about a 30-minute flight. And then I'm going to hang out in Fort Lauderdale for about 5 hours just because I wanted to get the cheapest flight home. Probably should have splurged, didn't. And then I'll make it home probably like 12:30 Pacific.
Bro.
Be in my bed probably like 1:30, maybe 2. Yuck.
The direct flight is always worth it, bro. Do it. Hey, what are we doing? Don't do that.
I know. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to stream later again today and like find a little place like a breast milk pumping station where I can like go and be like, I need an hour for breast milk. Do you think I can do that? I don't know.
Whose is the question. That's wild. That's wild.
You can milk anything with nipples. Really, Greg? I have nipples. Can you milk me? What's that from?
I don't know.
Meet the parents.
Okay.
Talking about how you can milk a cat. You can really milk anything with nipples. Really, Greg? Sorry.
It's a good movie.
Robert De Niro.
In the meantime, I am going live with Croc at 9. If they want to come over, I'd appreciate that.
That's true. because it's what 8:08 in the morning on the Pacific on the West Coast.
Boom like an 808. Remember that song?
What?
Remember the 808 song? Are you too young? You're too young.
What song? Which 808 song?
Boom like an 808. You don't
Boom
remember
like
that?
808.
You're too young.
Well,
You're too young.
Too young. Yeah.
It's all right. You missed out.
I like
you
that
missed out
song by Callisto, Bossy.
I'm Bossy. Yeah, that one.
I'm the first girl to scream on the track.
Was that early 2000s? Yeah.
With the 808. Yeah, that was 06, right when I graduated high school. Great song. And Too Short was in it. Back when Too Short would have like legitimate great features.
Yeah.
Deep into his 40s. How many rappers do that? Not many. Okay. Show's over. Make sure you jump over to Ryan's channel in 51 minutes. Ryan, Eric Crocker, more Niners discussion. Niners going to the Super Bowl. Everything's great in Ninerland. No, I don't know. They're going to talk about the real stuff. Check it out. I'll be checking it out on my flight to Fort Lauderdale for 20 minutes. See you guys.